Hi, welcome back to my page. Thanks for joining me tonight or today or whenever you check this video out. I have been gone for a little bit. I was on vacation and then life has just been kind of lifing. So I do apologize for the delay on this video. But we're here and today we're going to talk about nutrition on my journey and my experience with it and what I've tried and what has kind of worked and didn't work and just my experiences with everything. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not using this as advice or anything that you should do. I'm just sharing my experiences with these different things with you, and then you can talk to your doctors or whatever you may need to go on your own path with your nutrition. So, some people struggle with the exercise part of, being healthy, losing weight, staying fit, whatever you're trying to do. And others struggle with nutrition. And some struggle with both. Unfortunately, the exercise part, I actually really enjoy it. I don't struggle with that at all. I like to be challenged that way. And so that part of being healthy is one of the easier parts for me. The nutrition is where I really struggled for a long time to be consistent and to really find something that would work for me. But the consistency was kind of a problem too, but we'll get more into that. So, some of the things that I have, some of the diets per se that I've done. Now, I don't like to think of it as a diet because honestly, diets get you nowhere. You lose the weight, but then you go back to your old ways and then you gain all the weight back. So it's really something that you have to go into as a lifestyle change for it to be a long-term thing for you to be able to sustain the results that you would like long-term. So, I've done the Atkins keto diet. I've done the paleo. I did the no added sugar and, the intermittent fasting I have done. And all of them have like pros and cons to them, right? So, with the Atkins, now this was a long, long time ago when Atkins was the thing to do. I lost a lot of weight quick and it seemed pretty easy, but then there was lots of discussion on how it wasn't going to be healthy for women to do long term because of our hormones and etc. So I didn't really stick to that. I was kind of young too, and I just did it. I lost the weight for a while, and then I went back to eating carbs again, and I ended up, gaining weight back. And it probably didn't help because at that point when I started eating carbs again, I just really wasn't counting any calories. I was just not being very healthy. So I don't really, I used to like say, oh my God, I started eating carbs again. So, I gained all my weight because of these carbs, but I really don't think that was all to do with it. I mean, of course it has a little bit of a shock theory to your system, but it wasn't full-fledged only because I was eating carbs again that I was gaining weight back. So I just wanted to kind of make that clear. And so, the paleo, I did that for a little while. It was okay. It was still kind of like, you could only eat certain things. And then the no added sugar, that one was really tough to be honest, because there's added sugar in almost everything. Like it was really, really hard to find stuff to make things into meals and to feed like my whole family, and it was kind of it just wasn't sustainable for me. Some people like it, but it wasn't something that I was able to do for a long period of time. And then the intermittent fasting, which I think we'll have to probably do a whole different episode on that in general, because there's a lot of information to it, but I really do enjoy the intermittent fasting, and it really, I find it to pair well with the keto, because you're eating, with the keto, you're eating healthy fats, which sustains you for longer periods of time than just eating, carbs. So I do still do the intermittent fasting, and right now I am just kind of doing the keto with that. But how it all kind of, between the Atkins and, well, actually the Atkins was first, then the paleo, then the no added sugar, and then I just did what we call, you probably have seen it on commercials, on the TV, radio. It was very popular for a while. It was the 21-day fix from Beachbody. And so I just did that. And I was using that, and that kind of breaks it down into macros a little bit. So macros are a percentage of fats, carbs, and protein that you're able to eat throughout the day, and you just have to make sure that you are measuring and weighing them out in grams, and tracking them to fit certain percentages for the fats, carbs, and proteins. However you want to, if you want to have a low carb, higher fat, if you want to have a lower, moderate fat and a higher carb, that's all up to what you're doing and what you're training and what your goals are. So but it was actually, it was, the 21-day fix broke it down even into more different food groups. Like, you could only have a certain amount of seeds and nuts and, the healthy fats. And then you could have like dressings, and vegetables and protein and fruit and carbs. So they, the carbs and the fruits were separate. They weren't all in one. And so you could, depending on your activity level, your job, all of that, you have to kind of, figure out how many calories that you're able to have. And depending on how many calories will depend on how many servings of protein, vegetables, fruits, and carbs that you're able to have daily. And so I did do that for a good 3 years, and I lost a lot of weight. And I was very hyper focused on that, and not losing weight, but staying on with this this way of eating. Like, I didn't eat out for almost 3 years. When I went to family functions, like cookouts and barbecues, I was so determined to eat on track that I would bring my own food. And plus, to be honest, I'll pause there for a second. I may be getting a little bit off track with this, but I just wanted to kind of make this comment. And sometimes, I used to have that so-called cheat meal that they say. And sometimes having those cheat meals prior to this, eating this way, probably even in the beginning too, to be honest. So prior, in the beginning, like having a cheat meal, sometimes that would spiral me out of control. And I would, then have all this bad food for weeks. And then it took me a while to get back on track, and then, to lose that weight, and it was just kind of a roller coaster ride for a while, to be honest. So instead of taking that chance, right, of me getting back out of control again, I just said, I'm not going to do it. The sweets, and, because that was like really one of my weak points, is like carbohydrates, breads, sugar, brownies, stuff like that. That was like, whew, stuff I really liked. But so, I did that for like 3 years. I was able to maintain, because after you lose the weight, then you can get a little, you go to your maintenance calories, and you get a little bit more food for maintenance than you do for the um, to lose, of course. And it just worked for a while. And I was like, I got into such a habit or a routine that it was almost like I would eat the same kind of foods because I found what I liked, and I just recycled them. Like one week I would eat this, another week I would eat that, and I would just recycle through. And I would meal prep on Sundays and Wednesdays, and it just worked for me. And some people say, oh well, the eating the low calories, you're starving yourself and this and that. But honestly, for what I was, my activity level and stuff like that, like the lower calorie portion worked for me, and it still does. So, I'm not where some people are able to eat, 1,800 calories a day and still be able to lose weight. That's not me. I am on the lower calorie portion, but if you're able to eat 1,800 calories a day, depending on what you do for your job and your activity level, and you're able to be consistent with it, that's great. So, I guess you just have to really figure out that too. And how fast you want to lose it. I was pretty impatient when I first started this process, and I really wasn't looking to wait a year or 2 years. I know they say, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but at the same time, like, I just wanted to kind of get where I would feel more confident with myself. And then I could go into my maintenance calories and I would be good. And that's exactly what it did. So I probably, may have been able to go up one bracket in calories, but it would have taken me a lot longer to get where I needed to be. So I guess it just depends on what you would like to do for yourself. And I'm probably going to get attacked here where they say, losing it slowly is better. I understand that, but some people just are not going to stick with it if you aren't seeing results, and so it's all up to you and what you want to do. And then also with that is water, right? So water is very important, especially for us women. We tend to carry a lot of water weight, and they say, some people say, like, oh, you only need to drink enough water to quench your thirst. Other people say, oh, I like to drink a gallon or more. I say, and this is what I've been doing throughout this whole process, when I was doing really well, being on track with everything, was I would drink half of my weight in ounces of water. So whatever my weight was, I would divide that into two and drink that amount of ounces in water daily. And at first it was hard to get myself from drinking those sugary drinks, the sodas, the juice, even my coffee, to drink water. So what I used to do is sometimes I would do, I would put like fresh lemon in my water. I would put some low calorie, like Crystal Lights packages into my water. And also I would kind of play a game with myself to kind of trick myself into drinking more water and having fun with it. So it was like every time I would go to a red light when I was going to work or coming home from work or whatever the case may be, even on the weekends I did it, I would get to a red light or a stop sign. Anytime I had to stop the car, I would have to chug my water for 10 seconds. And that helped get it down, because at first, going from, like I said, the sugary drinks and the coffee and not having too much water to now drinking primarily water, it's, some people struggle with it, and I did. So the game kind of helped get me into a routine. And so once I got into that routine, just like, the routine with the diet or the way of eating, it was second nature. It was just part of my day-to-day life. So that's where I think, you have to get to something where it works for you, and then just make it a part of your life. And it, sometimes you may have to adjust a little bit depending on your situation, if your job changes or something like that. But you can adjust your calories. You can do that every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what you are. If you're losing, if you're not losing, and kind of look at what you're doing. I used to journal my my journey as well. Also, make sure that you don't use just the scale as a way to measure your progress, because the scale lies all the time and it would be really frustrating. So make sure you are taking pictures of yourself. Measure yourself as well. And then also, if you have the scale, use the scale as well. So use all three things, because sometimes you're just going to lose some inches, and the inches may not even seem to be that much. But overall, if you take the photos, like, say that you start September 1st, and so you take your beginning photo on September 1st, and then you take another photo on September 30th. And then you can kind of compare what happened in those 30 days. Did you drink enough water? Did you have enough protein? And kind of measure how your progress is going. And that's why it's also good to journal, to say, okay, on this day, things didn't go well. So journal the good and journal the bad, because sometimes when we only journal the bad, we forget all about our accomplishments, and then we don't give ourselves high fives for it. So it's important for us to journal both, the good and the bad, and to keep ourselves accountable to the bad, but also to cheer ourselves on for the good. So on that note, I think I will do, like I said, another video on the intermittent fasting. And I hope this was somewhat helpful for you. If you have any questions regarding the way that I did eat for, the 21-day fix way of eating, leave me a message or a note below, and I'll be more than happy to chat with you, because that is still a good way to do it. It's easy. And, that way, when you're putting your food into those containers, that's, basically you're weighing and measuring and all that way. So it works. So thank you, and I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll talk later. Thanks. Bye.